tons of great videos on muscle up progressions out there, yet I still see people making a couple very common faults when they're working their transitions. So here's the two faults that I've seen, and I've come up with a little drill, or I'd probably more accurately call it a test to see if you're doing these progressions correctly. But here are the faults that I'm seeing. One, when people are making their transition, they're skipping the dip. So they're coming through and going straight up into the press without hitting this dip position. So that's one fault. The second fault that I'm seeing is people who are making this transition are doing so but through the shoulders and the spine, but they're not really doing anything with the hips. And what you'll notice if you watch people do muscle ups, when they make that transition, as they come up, the hips are open, and then they very aggressively go into a closed position. Now, notice what just happened here. When I did that aggressive, or the world's fastest sit-up, as Carl Pally likes to call it, when I do that very aggressive, world's fastest sit-up, I close the hips, and notice how my hood flips up onto my head. So that's a nice little test to see if you're being aggressive enough with the transition and actually coming through and closing the hip, and notice how now I end up directly on top of the rings. So, simple little test that you can do to see if you're hitting the transitions properly, coming through, closing the hip, getting up on top of the rings, and then pressing out from there. Give it a shot, tell me what you think.